The Short Act is now back in the big, beautiful bill, which is about as much of an oxymoron of a name as you can get. But it is back in the big, beautiful bill, meaning that if it passes the Senate in the next couple weeks, then it has to go back to the House. And if it passes the House, then it goes to the president's desk. And we'll go through all the details here in just a minute because we're going to start with this. But it's a long ways off, but it's also could be surprisingly close to the biggest win for the Second Amendment maybe ever in terms of like reclaiming rights. So let's go ahead and just move into it for a minute. This is from Mr. Guns and Gear. Now, there were a couple other people putting out this video. John Crump has the exact same video, but it's like 10 and a half minutes long. And somehow he says less than what Mr. Guns and Gear does in 5 minutes. So even if you put John Crump on 2x speed, you can still get it better, faster from Mr. Guns and Gear. And that's probably what she said.
Armed scholar.
I haven't seen his video.
But title of the video, we have some good news for you here today. We have been discussing several different provisions that are going into the big, beautiful bill for about a month now here on the channel. One that came out of the House, of course, was the Hearing Protection Act. What that does is it removes suppressors from the National Firearms Act, meaning that they no longer require a $200 tax stamp, registry, all of the other nonsense that goes with owning an NFA firearm. And we have another one for you here today. So basically that bill moved out of the House and went to the Senate. I made a video, I guess a week or two ago now, stating that essentially in order to get the Short Act in there, and for those who don't know, the Short Act essentially removes short barrel firearms as well as short barrel shotguns from the National Firearms Act as well. But in order to get the Short Act in there in the Senate, it just took one senator to actually put it in the big, beautiful bill. And I was notified by this, as well as several other folks that you guys probably watch on YouTube. We were notified on Friday that this was likely coming. And then right now, when I'm recording this,
I'm not cool enough to be on the inside crowd to get this info ahead of time. Unfortunately, they give it to Mr. Guns and Gear, John Crump, Armed Scholar, apparently, probably Guns and Gadgets, and a few other guys. But we're not cool enough for that.
It is 5:04 Eastern time. This just dropped about 4 minutes ago. So basically, we have the new text of the big, beautiful bill in the Senate as it came out of the Finance Committee. And if you scroll down to page 261, which as an aside is absurd. Why is it so long? Anyway, if you scroll.
Well, 261 pages in is only a quarter of the way through, just under a quarter of the way through. I think it's like 24% through the bill, actually, because it's 1,100 pages, right? 1116 or something stupid. So 260 pages is barely a quarter of the way through the bill.
I'm sure nothing bad has been snuck in there at any point. I feel like this bill is big and beautiful.
Well, people said, yeah, we get suppressors off the NFA and a surveillance state. Let's go. Or we get a bigger surveillance state or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, pretty rough.
Down to page 261, you will see that the Short Act is in there. So awesome news for everyone here on the channel.
Okay, so let's just recap all of this. Go watch the video. I put it in chat. Go watch the full 5 minutes. It gives you literally all the information you need with almost no fluff, whereas everybody else is putting out 10 to 20 minute long videos. That is mostly nonsense. Like the short of it is, no pun intended, is that the Short Act is back in the big, beautiful bill, which seeks to remove SBRs from the NFA. So that means that your barrel length is pretty irrelevant. Now, there are still some more complicated ones. I think AOWs are still a thing for certain firearms. So I'm not entirely sure about some of the really, really weird cases out there. But the main point is that SBRs, so rifles with a barrel of less than 16 inches, will no longer be on the registry. And this, while this is cool for ARs, of course, because you're now no more pistol braces, no more silly stuff that you have to deal with. This means a lot for all of your PCCs, all of your cool guns that you can only get in a factory SBR configuration, which means you have to wait for however long Form 1, or not even Form 1. What is that, a Form 3 yet? Whatever it happens to be. Whatever that NFA process is, all of that is gone. The $200 tax stamp, all of that is gone. You still have your 4473, of course. That's not going to change. But SBRs are not really a thing anymore. Huge win, makes life much, much easier, meaning you can cross state lines. as long as you're crossing into a free state, that is, of course, because I think in John Crump's video, he mentions that 16 states will automatically ban suppressors if the short act or the short and the HPA passes. Because they have it set up within their state laws that you can only possess one if they're on the NFA, if you go through the NFA process, but if there is no NFA process, they are effectively banned, right? So that'll all get challenged. But if you're in a free state, you'll be able to get suppressors after passing a background check and short-barreled rifles after passing a background check, just like normal. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to pertain to private sales. Like, so in South Dakota, you have no background check private sales. I don't know how that works interperson, but I'm sure that's something that lawyers are going to fight over in the near future. But before we move on, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's gay that there's states that are going to auto ban suppressors the moment that they get removed from the NFA. And I think that that's grounds for constitutional challenge right off the bat, because they were okay when there was regulation, but now that there isn't regulation and that they've been proven to be safe enough to deregulate, they're banned. I think that's a complete waste of time and money, and I think that whoever it is that's pushing that needs to be charged with violation of 18 USC 241 or 242. That's just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer.
Very, very wishful thinking. That's never going to happen. It's quite literally never stopped anybody from infringing on your rights before. It's probably not going to work now.
Yep, I think lame and gay states are lame and gay.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any sort of change in that regard. But it is a nice update. It's cool. If the big beautiful bill passes the Senate, which I think the timeline is roughly 2 weeks for that. So before July 4th, I think is the goal. It goes back down to the House. Because it's been amended, the House has to re-vote on it, and then it'll go to the president's desk. So we're still like 3 steps away from this passing. If it passes in its current form without more deliberation, without more changes, who knows about any of that stuff. But if it passes, at least for the time being, you have to deal with everything else in the big beautiful bill. But at least for the time being, you will also be able to get SBRs and pick up all your cool firearms and suppressors and save $200 a pop and not have to go through the NFA and submit passport photos and fingerprints for all of them. So, you know, a little tiny win in a big L that is the big beautiful bill. So at least there's a little silver lining for the gun guys. And I kind of said this earlier, I think on the Discord, is that everything is going bad. So while I know that some people stand on principle about hating, the big beautiful bill and everything, you might as well take the wins where you can get them, because this is kind of the only way to get something like this done, is to essentially sneak it through. Instead, it's the opposite of a poison pill, right? So it's not a poison pill in the meal. It's the little bit. It's like a sugar capsule in a pile of crap. Is basically what this is. That's the analogy. There's a little sugar capsule in the pile of crap. You either have to eat it with or without, so you might as well get the little sugar capsule in that big, beautiful pile of crap.